Fans of hip hop know that it is the MC that moves the crowd, and there is an educational program that gives students a voice while building their self esteem. We Do It for the Culture is a culturally responsive social emotional learning curriculum rooted in hip hop. And here to tell us more is CEO and founder Jamila Sams. So nice to meet you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
So, where did this idea come from?
So I am a 70s baby. Grew up in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s. There was a show called Teen Summit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember.
Yeah. And I always loved that Teen Summit leveraged hip hop culture in order to talk about really important topics that young people could relate to. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them were heavy topics. Yeah. And sometimes students don't want to talk about those heavy topics, especially in front of their peers or adults. And so the power of Teen Summit in leveraging hip hop culture and talking about really serious topics like teenage pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So if Tupac came on and debuted Brenda's Got a Baby, now you have a group of young people talking about teenage pregnancy, where it's more natural.
Yeah, it paves the way to opening up that conversation.
Absolutely. And so I always wanted to bring that back. Mm-hmm. And now in 2024, young people aren't watching TV anymore. Yeah. Everything is, all their content is from social media. And so I figured that, education in schools is a captive audience, mm-hmm. where students are there all day. So why not bring the content into schools so that students can have these conversations in really authentic ways? And so we leverage videos from YouTube and other social media platforms, mm-hmm. and we connect that content back to 5 competencies for social emotional learning. Mm-hmm. And teachers then use those lessons in schools with students.
And how many schools are you working with?
So right now we're working with over 75 schools nationwide. We're in 15 states. And I'm happy to say that New York is probably our largest footprint.
Mm-hmm. And how open, 2 questions. How open are schools to this, bringing in this kind of curriculum? Do they get it? Are they getting it?
They are. We have a lot of schools that reach out to us. We don't do any major marketing around We Do It for the Culture. A lot of it is from word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And we present at a lot of conferences nationwide. And the response has been that teachers now feel like they have a tool that they can use in order to leverage those conversations. Yeah. Because again, a lot of young people do not want to feel forced into mm-hmm. sharing their feelings. But if they can connect whatever they're feeling and their emotions and their shared experiences to something that they could relate to, now you have, safe and brave spaces for students to kind of open up. Yeah. And talk about, topics that mean, important things to them.
Yeah, a way to get into them.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about what social emotional learning is. SEL is what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the process of being able to not only name our emotions, which is really important. A lot of times, especially young people, they have emotions. They're like, I don't even know what this is, but mm-hmm. it's heavy. Yeah. Or, it makes me feel a certain way. And then it's also the process of managing our emotions. Another area that...
In a healthy way.
In a healthy way.
Productive
right,
way.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But being able to name it and manage it and then leverage it for positive change, not just for yourself, but for those around you. So there's 5 social emotional learning competencies. The first one is self-awareness, just mm-hmm. knowing who you are, and as I like to say as a Black woman, knowing whose you are. It's also about self-management, so managing our emotions, social awareness, so what's happening around me, mm-hmm. Responsible decision-making, so now that I know who I am and how I leverage my emotions, what decisions am I going to make? And then the last one is relationship skills, mm-hmm. like how do we be in community with others, where sometimes we may not be on the same page, but we still need to be respectful of each other's, experiences and opinions.
Yeah, being in community with others when you're on this thing all day by yourself drives Absolutely. Me bananas. It's, yes. I got to believe that job of getting people to mm-hmm. be in community and open up is even a little bit harder.
Much harder
today
days.
Because
yes.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the fact that you remember Teen Summit and really that kept working around in your head. Your mind is one of those that works that way. I could tell that you were like, there's a place for this.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that hip hop not only spoke to you in a certain way, but it speaks to so many children. Why is hip hop the vehicle for you?
Yeah, hip hop is the voice of the people. It always has been, and it's just manifested, different ways throughout time. But it's something that's been around since the beginning of time. The elements of hip hop are things that can be traced back to early civilizations, right? But as it stands now, it's a way for us to express ourselves in a positive way, for us to talk about things that are important to us. And so what it really does is it helps to educate, elevate, it helps to mobilize people, and also inspire. And so by using that as a kind of a leverage to be able to have these conversations with young people, I just think it's really positive. And the educators, they also see the benefit of it as well, because they're able to then connect their shared experiences to the content. And again, it just helps to build community and for us to have what I like to call real talk in school.
Okay, and if that gets somebody to open up, if it's opera, let's do opera. If it's seriously,
it could be, right?
Depending on, I guess, who it is. So the other thing we love about your program is it's subscriptions. You do this work not just through schools, but also individuals.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
And so there are schools where in this country right now, you can't even say the word or the phrase social emotional. Right? And so we have a lot of teachers that really want to use We Do It for the Culture, but because of whatever the state laws are, they're not able to go to their principal and say, I really want to have this and use this with my students. And so we have some teachers that, subscribe on their own. We have some parents. The homeschooling movement is really taking off, especially after the pandemic. So we have a lot of parents that are homeschooling their child, and they use We Do It for the Culture as well. But it's available to everyone.
Okay, and is there cost?
There is. There's a cost for individuals, and then we also have discounts when school districts have multiple schools using We Do It for the Culture.
And we should send folks to We Do It For, the number 4, We Do It For the Culture.com.
Yes.
And you can find out, how you can get your hands on this. And a little bit of background about, why it works and the point here, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. Hip hop is just like this magic pill. It just keeps on giving, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? All right.
Well beyond the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, Jamila Sams, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll be right back.